Today we start a new chapter, in this short commentary on the single intention, Gongchik. So this is the book that we are reading from. It's a translation of a very accessible, easy to understand commentary on the Gongchik by this great Nyingma Lama called Khenpo Kunpal. Khenpo Kunpal lived from the year 1872 to 1943. Specifically, Khenpo Kunpal is one of the key successors of the famous Lama, Nyingma Lama, Betu Rinpoche. Betu Rinpoche, most famously, at least in the West, is the author of this wonderful commentary called Words of My Perfect Teacher. Betu Rinpoche also famously was the one that popularized the study of Bodhicayyavatara beyond monastic circles. Up until Betu Rinpoche's time, when the Shantideva's Bodhicayyavatara was mostly only known within monastic circles, within like Buddhist seminaries, basically, is what we'll call it in the West, Buddhist colleges for monks. But Betu Rinpoche started to teach this broadly, introducing the Bodhicayyavatara even to lay people. Famously, Betu Rinpoche would whenever he was invited by different monasteries to teach the Bodhicayyavatara. So over time, his fame with regards to his ability to teach the Bodhicayyavatara spread, all over Tibet, particularly in Eastern Tibet, which is where he was from. Then people, different monasteries started to invite him to teach. And although he was himself from a particular Nyingma monastery with its own tradition, its own understanding of, the finer points, he made it his habit to teach whichever monastery invites him. If they're not Nyingma, for example, if they're Sakyapa monastery, or if they're a Kyobpa monastery, he would teach Bodhicayyavatara according to how Bodhicayyavatara is interpreted by that particular Sakya tradition or that particular Kagyu tradition. By and large, the explanation of the Bodhicayyavatara, all the 10 chapters, by and large, they are all similar, except for chapter 9. Chapter 9 is the chapter on wisdom. So when it comes to the wisdom chapter, each tradition, even within Kagyu, it's hard to say, Kagyupas interpret this way or that way. Because even among the different Kagyu figures, there are important kind of nuances. For maybe most of us, those nuances are too fine to really make a difference for us, because we are not subtle enough. Sometimes when we look at some argument, we say, that argument is just so little. Well, over so little or big, depends on your size, right? If you are really big, well, then, even what you and I consider big for a giant, small. But if you're a microbe, what you and I consider to be small, really big, So when it comes to wisdom, sometimes I think I make the same mistake. I look at something and I say, maybe I say to you even, this argument here, they're a little bit getting too fine, When I say that, please don't misunderstand, I'm not saying not important right now for you and me, because we are still walking around like giants, pom, 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 breaking things without even knowing, causing suffering without even knowing. But when we become more and more refined, then more and more fine we need to know, So anyway, chapter 9, the wisdom chapter, Famously, Patrul Rinpoche will teach according to what that monastery's tradition is with regards to chapter 9. So much so that, when he teaches that, everyone becomes convinced, oh, Patrul Rinpoche must be a follower of this particular great master in the Sakya lineage who interprets chapter 9 in this way. Everyone will be convinced, oh, Patrul Rinpoche must really, believe this view. Then a few months later, Patrul Rinpoche is teaching in a Kagyu monastery, chapter 9. Somebody will listen to that and go, oh, he must be really a follower of this one. He doesn't accept the Sakyapa position. No. He has the ability to teach in a way that is appropriate to who he's teaching to and in advancing. So this is the true meaning of Rime. You've heard, right? The expression Rime. There's the superficial Rime. Superficial Rime, both in Asia and in the West, non-sectarian. Superficial Rime, non-sectarian, is I will just do whatever I like to do. I will just believe what I want to believe. I just practice whatever I like to practice. I don't want anyone to tell me this is the good way or not a good way, because, I'm Rime. I'm non-sectarian. Which also normally means, I will be my own guide and teacher. Ultimately, of course, that's the only way. But even relatively, people, I don't need it. I am Rime. Do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. Then not only within Tibetan Buddhism, Rime, I am Rime all Buddhism. Do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. Then not only that, maybe even I am all traditions Rime. I do a little bit Native American. I do a little bit, Mayan spirituality. I do a little bit of Taoist. I do a little bit of Christian centering prayer. I do a little bit of that. I am ultimate Rime, That is often getting everything confused and messed up. The Rime of Patrul Rinpoche is the kind of Rime, the kind of non-sectarian where basically he has mastered every tradition according to that tradition. And he sees no difference on the ultimate level among these valid traditions. But he doesn't mix them all up, causing confusion to himself and to others. When you mix them all up, basically what you're doing is you create a new lineage. Whether this lineage works or don't work, hard to say. And not guaranteed don't work, don't be so narrow. Maybe it will work. But a lot of experiment needs to happen. So if you're willing to be a guinea pig and join with the experiment, then fine, Otherwise, it's a little maybe risky is too strong, that word. I know some will say, oh, it's risky, but you have to decide, what works. Anyway, that's Patrul Rinpoche. Just also an excuse to talk about this notion of Rime. Don't turn Rime into a new lineage. So now there are multiple, new lineage that arises from people not having a lineage. Do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. Having a lineage means having an anchor. Having your feet planted on the ground. It's not about being sectarian. It's not about being narrow. It's about being rooted. So we say root and lineage lamas, right? So we can also say to have a lineage is to have roots. Trees that don't have roots superficially might look like they're doing well, but if the roots are not strong, it can suffer being toppled. So if you feel confident about these roots, about a particular lineage, then at that time, you need to bring in more, anything that you need to bring in to prevent sectarian mind from arising. If you don't have enough roots yet, then you have to work on growing those roots and not here look, there look, here look, there look. Especially now, everyone, it's good from that level. It's giving teachings online, myself included. It's so easy, here look, there look, here look, there look. But then roots are not growing. In one teaching, Kyobpa Rinpoche said, you reach certainty about what your Lama have taught you, then don't get jealous, he said, with what other people have been taught by their Lamas. Meaning, don't go, ooh, that looks good. Ooh, that looks good. He says that will give rise to a lot of jealousy and a lot of instability. Yeah. So take whatever is useful about these comments. None of this is commandment. None of this is, to tie you to doing only one thing with one person or anything like that. Please try to understand what I just said, So now, anyway, this chapter is the chapter on secret mantra. So all the different issues surrounding the practice of secret mantra. So the broader context, right, zooming out, 190 plus Vajra statements that Kyobpa Rinpoche made on various occasions throughout his life. So one thing is, Kyobpa Rinpoche never really thought about, I'm going to compile my famous one-liners. I call them one-liner. In English, we have this expression, a one-liner, like a very, usually one-liner is jokes, but no, this is not joke, this is one line, one statement, one Vajra statement. And these are called Vajra statements, meaning they are statements that come from the, Vajra means indestructible. So then there are statements that arise from the indestructible state. What is the indestructible state? The state of reality. So objectively, we call it the state of reality. This objective state of reality requires that a subjective mind realizes it, sees it. And the subjective mind is what we call wisdom mind. So the wisdom mind of Kyobpa Rinpoche perceive the objective realm of reality, and thereby object and subject becomes one, or is realized as one, because in the first place it is one. And from there, this statement becomes a Vajra statement. Same as when we say Milarepa's Vajra songs, meaning The song, the meaning of the song, what is being communicated in this Vajra statement arises from a wisdom mind perceiving the reality state. So it's Vajra. But nonetheless, as I said, Kyobpa Rinpoche didn't really think, I will put all these Vajra statements together. And this was left for his nephew, disciple, Chenga Sherab Jungne, to compile the statements. And then after compiling the statements, putting them together, he organized them into chapters. 7 chapters that has 190 8 chapters that has a total of about 196. There are some variations even. So that tells us, don't be so rigid. In the early commentary, sometimes there's 1 or 2 statements more or less. But the most common one, basically about 190 something statements, in which the first 150 statements are divided into 7 chapters. Then there is miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is basically Sherab Jungne taking out what he feels are repetitive statements. But he didn't want to delete them, so to say. So then he put them in the miscellaneous chapter, which 46 statements. In a way, if you have no time to study the 150 statements, then you can look at the 46 statements, because they are taken from these 7 chapters. So chapter 5, 4, and 3. 5 is on secret mantra. 4 is on bodhisattva. 3 is on individual liberation. So collectively, these 3 are called the 3 vows. Domsum, which is not like 3 vows as in vow number 1, vow number 2, vow number 3, but rather the 3 levels of vows, the 3 sets of vows. Throughout Tibetan Buddhism, the history of Tibetan Buddhism, and particularly from the 11th, 12th century to the 14th, 15th century in Tibet, there were lots and lots of different opinions and debates with regards to how are the 3 vows relate? How do the 3 vows, 3 sets of vows, 3 levels of vows, how do they relate to each other? How do we relate them? So there were different approaches and different nuances to this. In the way that Kyobpa Rinpoche understands and teaches the 3 sets of vows, basically in a nutshell, he says, the essence of the 3 vows is the same. And the essence of the 3 vows is basically to give up the causes of suffering and to create the causes of happiness. And these 3 vows, these 3 levels of vows, they do not contradict each other. And what makes them the 3 levels is not really so much about the specific vows themselves, but it's more about the capacity of the vow holder. So that there are levels. Superficially, we can say, individual liberation is the lowest level. Bodhisattva is the next level. Secret mantra is the next level. Higher and higher, right? Even the way these chapters are arranged. You can say higher, higher, higher. But Kyobpa Rinpoche will emphasize that this is just a superficial read. In fact, the real important getting higher and higher isn't about, now I'm doing fancier practices. Now I'm doing even fancier practices. Now I'm doing the real fancy practice. He said, no, it's not like that. It's really about inside. What kind of transformation has happened? So when the inner transformation has happened, even just keeping individual liberation vows, observing the precept of not killing, not stealing, even just observing that, you are already practicing secret mantra. Because the real secret mantra is the level that you have arrived at inside. Yet there is the superficial aspects of secret mantra practice. There's the superficial aspects of bodhisattva practice. There's the superficial, or you could say, maybe superficial is too strong a word. There's the outer aspects, the outer signs and the outer practices that you can say, oh, that belongs to individual liberation. Such as like taking the 5 precepts, taking the monks and nuns precepts, you can say, oh, that's individual liberation. Bodhisattva, you say, oh, the practice of the 6 perfections, meditating on the 2 bodhicittas, taking the bodhisattva vow, you can say, oh, that's Mahayana. The 35 Buddhas confession practice, you say, oh, that's a Mahayana practice. On the outer, it looks like that, of course. The vocabulary use, the style of the ritual, yes, it's Mahayana. Then you have deity yoga, right? You have, visualizing the deity, using bell, damaru, all of that. Superficially, Kapala, tankas with deities in union, all that kind of stuff. On the outside, yes, you can say, that's secret mantra. But the real level of individual liberation, bodhisattva and secret mantra, is our capacity, our maturity. That is what we need to pay attention to more. Anyway, from the last 2 chapters, in the Vajra statements covered in the last 2 chapters, you should already be able to see, this particular way of approaching the 3 vows. So now, more explicitly, we're going to look at the set of issues that were current during Kyobpa Rinpoche's time. Many of those issues have been settled in a way that is in harmony with the way Kyobpa Rinpoche expresses it. Some remains different. Yeah. So again, some of these statements here, I think we will find to be, that's isn't that the common understanding? Well, in the 12th century, it wasn't yet a common understanding. And then some of these statements that we're going to look at, we're going to see how, that's not what I heard. I thought it's like, see, this is Kyobpa Rinpoche's special view. Overall, right, Kyobpa Rinpoche's special view is not so much that he's saying the other view is wrong, the opposite that he is responding to. It's not that they are wrong. It's just that there is a deeper way to understand that issue. And so often what he's pointing to is there's a deeper way to understand this. So now let's look at the first statement. The first statement of chapter 5, secret mantra also occurs in the teachings of other Buddhas. So this statement here is said in response to, so there are some secret mantra texts, some tantras, that say, like, the secret mantra teachings are so rare that in fact, in the 5 in the 1,000 Buddhas that will come in our time, in this eon. This period of time is called the Vajra Kalpa, right? The good Kalpa. Why is it good? Because 1,002 Buddhas are going to appear in this Kalpa, according to this Mahayana Sutra. Then there is some other Tantra that, following from this understanding, says that of the 1,002 Buddhas, only a couple of them will teach secret mantra. The others will not teach secret mantra. So this led to some people saying, many other Buddhas don't teach secret mantra. In fact, they even go so far as to saying they don't know secret mantra. So here Kyobpa Rinpoche says, no, that's misunderstanding. He says, secret mantra also occurs in the teachings of the other Buddhas. And you say, well, does this really matter? This matters because it helps us to understand, what are we talking about when we say secret mantra teachings? Again, are we talking about the outer aspects of secret mantra? No. So in a way you could say, if we're talking about the outer aspects of secret mantra, then maybe some other Buddhas don't teach them. But that's not what we're talking about. Right? It's the inner secret mantra. And insofar as the inner secret mantra, and insofar that this is a level of development in terms of our own maturity, our own process of waking up, how can secret mantra not exist in the teachings of other Buddhas? Of course they exist. Just not, with the outer trappings, with the outer supports that we are familiar with, that we would identify. Say, oh, that's secret mantra. Oh, that's secret mantra. Oh, look, the guy is wearing 2 earrings and holding a damaru. Oh, that's secret mantra, Normally, we think secret mantra is those crazy Mahasiddhas, But actually, here it's also saying, no. That's just the historical chance, historical circumstance. During our time, with Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, secret mantra became widely taught, became more publicly circulating at a time where practitioners were taking on these outer forms, like a wandering yogi, long hair, earrings, wandering from place to place, hanging out in the cemeteries. That's Indian Tantra, a little kind of suspicious, what are they doing, They gather at night. Then we think, oh, that's secret mantra. Then, if we look at, references to the past life, or not past lives, but the activities of Buddhas of the past, right? And you say, wait, there's no mention of this kind of stuff going on. So from there, you either have one conclusion, which is this secret mantra business is dubious. It's suspicious. Maybe, it's not really Buddha Shakyamuni. Maybe they made it up. Because, when the sutras talk about teachings of other Buddhas, they don't talk about things like this. So that's one position. That's one conclusion that you might come to. And of course, Kyobpa Rinpoche is saying, no, that's the wrong conclusion. The other wrong conclusion is to say, oh, That's because some Buddhas don't teach secret mantra. That's why no mention. Only Buddha Shakyamuni, and maybe plus one more within this 1002 Buddhas will teach secret mantra. So here, basically, Kyobpa Rinpoche's statement is saying, no. Secret mantra, being that it is the most subtle level of development and training, they exist in the teachings of all Buddhas. So let's look at the commentary. The exalted Buddhas attain Buddhahood in Akanishta and abide there as Sambhogakayas endowed with the 5 certainties. So here there's the mention of Akanishta. And the footnote helps us to understand which Akanishta are we talking about. Because as it turns out, there are several levels, or there are several Akanishtas based on the level of development. So if you look at the footnote, there are 3 types of pure realms that bear the name Akanishta. The one in the form realm, so meaning in this realm of samsara, is divided into the realm of the senses, the sensual realms, then what is known as the form realm. Really, the form realm is referring to very subtle form. And then above that is the formless realms. Formless realms, there are 4 different heavens, so to say, if you want to use the word, because these are all under God realms. The form realm, the formless realms, they are completely all like you can call Deva realm. Like in the form realm, the beings there, they are all known as Brahmas. Even though there is one Brahma that is most well known, who Hindus say, or some Hindus say, is the creator God. But all the light beings in the form realm, they are all called Brahmas. So at the very top of this form realm, there is a heaven known as Akanishta. So the footnote here says that's the first Akanishta. And then there is the one that is beyond the 3 realms. And the one that is meant here, which is the personal appearance perceived by someone who has purified the 2 obscurations. This form of Akanishta pure realm thus exists in the perception of a realized person wherever he or she is. So there is the samsaric Akanishta. Then there is the Akanishta that is beyond samsara. And then there is the Akanishta that highly realized practitioners experience in the here and now. So according to this footnote, this is the Akanishta that we're talking about, the 3rd one. 2nd and 3rd one are basically the same. You could say that the difference between the 2nd and the 3rd, both of them are only accessible by those who have basically attained almost Buddhahood, if not complete Buddhahood. And so here it says the exalted Buddhas attain Buddhahood in Akanishta. Meaning anywhere and everywhere, it doesn't matter already. Because it's not about the outer place. Even though there is a tradition that says, all Buddhas will attain Buddhahood in Bodh Gaya, India. There's a belief like that, And, I'm like, I don't know. So in the Vajrayana teachings, it says, no, all Buddhas will attain Buddhahood in Akanishta. Superficially, it sounds like it's competing with the claim that all Buddhas will attain Buddhahood in Bodh Gaya. Oh, you secret mantra people now say, instead of Bodhgaya, you say all Buddhas will attain Buddhahood in Akanishta. But then it turns out, it says, where is Akanishta? Anywhere and everywhere. Because it's not about the place. Yeah. And abide there as Sambhogakaya, endowed with the 5 certainties. And so meaning there's one aspect of the Buddhas appearing in the Sambhogakaya aspect that is in this place called Akanishta. Throughout space, they appear spontaneously as inconceivable bodies, wisdom, and activities to train beings in whichever way needed. Therefore, just as the precious teachings of secret mantra came to this world, secret mantra also occurs in the teachings of other Buddhas, wherever there are beings fit to be trained by secret mantra teachings. So in the chanting of the names of Manjushri, a very important tantric text, it says, the Buddhas of the past have taught this, those of the future will also teach this, and all the complete Buddhas that are now in the present teach this again and again. Yeah, quoting this one very famous tantra called Manjushri Namasangiti. This has been translated into English a few times now. Sometimes this tantra is called the king of tantras, the essence of all the secret mantras. So this is the first statement. So again, on the outer superficial level, it seems to be addressing the issue of, do other Buddhas teach secret mantra or not? But when we look deeper, when we look closer, it's really helping us understand what is secret mantra. So we're not talking about the outer appearance of secret mantra as we know it today. Bell, Vajra, Kapala, earrings, wearing funny hats, wrathful rituals, those are just the outer circumstance of secret mantra. Insofar as secret mantra, as a dimension, as a set of realizations, that is the real secret mantra. And that, all Buddhas teach that. All Buddhas teach that. So today we're going to stop here.